All right, let's unlock some serious long-term thinking today. You've asked us to really navigate the fascinating world of XRP. We're looking specifically through the lens of a long-term price prediction from Selenex Crypto.
Hmm.
And, with all the buzz around XRP's massive breakout since early July, the big question is really, is this sustainable? And maybe more importantly, where could it actually go by, say, early 2026? This deep dive, it should give us some specific answers, but I think first we need to understand kind of the hidden structure behind these predictions.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really insightful here, I think, is how Selenex Crypto anchors their XRP outlook. It's not just charts, it's built on a foundation, a bedrock of specific economic and political beliefs. And understanding those is, well, it's key.
Okay.
This isn't just background noise, it's how you judge if a prediction like this is, fragile or actually robust. The core assumptions for this analysis, looking out to early 2026, they're quite specific. We're talking relative political stability, so no major new conflicts or sudden peace deals changing everything.
Right, stability.
No U.S. recession, which the analysis doesn't actually expect, and at least 2 interest rate cuts. These aren't minor points. They're the fundamental conditions Selenex Crypto thinks must hold true.
That framing is, that's incredibly helpful because it shifts the focus from just what happens to under what conditions, right?
Right.
Which is, frankly, much more useful for anyone looking long term.
Hmm.
So, okay, given those crucial underlying beliefs, what are the immediate signs? What's the evidence Selenex Crypto sees for this massive breakout?
Good question. So technically speaking, Selenex Crypto highlights a, quote, real breakout. They note XRP has smashed through a really significant long-standing price range and on impressive volume, too.
Okay.
That strongly suggests a new uptrend is, well, actually underway. Now, maybe August, September, we might see things cool off a bit, less momentum, less volume, perhaps. But the underlying strength of that break seems pretty clear from their analysis.
But it's not just the charts, is it? It feels like the market might be starting to price in some of those fundamentals we just talked about. What are the big drivers, fundamentally, that Selenex Crypto is pointing to here?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you connect the dots, the analysis points to several really big potential catalysts for Ripple and XRP. The biggest one, maybe the one everyone's watching, is the potential end of the Ripple SEC case.
Ah, yes, the lawsuit.
Exactly. That legal battle has cast such a long shadow. If it gets resolved, it could remove huge regulatory uncertainty that might unlock, new market players, maybe more institutional money coming in.
And beyond the SEC case, Selenex Crypto seems really focused on the potential for an XRP ETS, an exchange-traded fund. Now, my first reaction is always, great, that's got to be good for the price. But the analysis actually mentions, maybe surprisingly, that the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs performed very, very poorly right after they launched. So why would XRP be different? What makes Selenex think an XRP ETF would be very bullish, maybe right after approval in 2025?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Why XRP? Selenex suggests it's about Ripple's strategic moves. They're actively making acquisitions, especially in the stablecoin area, like that recent Real acquisition and others earlier this year.
Okay, interesting.
And Ripple's own stablecoin, ROUSD, their US dollar one, its market cap, has, well, it's really grown, jumped from maybe $50 million to over $640 million in the last year alone. And it's still growing.
Wow.
So this kind of real-world activity, this expansion in their ecosystem, it's not just headlines. It provides real fundamental backing. It supports the idea that this technical breakout isn't just a fluke, that it has legs. That potentially sets it apart from the BTC or ETH ETF situations.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got the technical real breakout, we've got the potential SEC case wrapping up, an anticipated XRP ETF that might actually perform well post-launch, unlike others, and Ripple's expanding stablecoin presence. That's quite a combination. So putting it all together, what does this translate into for you, our listener? What are the actual price targets from this analysis?
Right. So the first target Selenex Crypto identifies is $4.50. And that's not just a random number. It's seen as a big psychological level. Plus, critically, it lines up with a key Fibonacci retracement level.
Fibonacci, a classic technical tool.
Exactly. Used to spot potential support or resistance. So they expect some pushback around $4.50, but then think XRP rallies higher after that.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting for the long-term view. Selenex sets a main target for, end of 2025, early 2026, and it's, well, maybe surprisingly conservative, between $4.50 and $5. Now, in the crypto world, that might sound pretty modest to some folks. Does the analysis explain why they chose this more cautious local top idea, especially when you hear others throwing out numbers like $7.50?
That's a really sharp question. And yes, the analysis does tackle that. While they acknowledge XRP could hit higher numbers, like that $7.50 you mentioned, Solenex frames the $4.50 to $5 range as a potential local top, something that might stick around for a while. Their approach seems to be, well, pragmatic. They're essentially saying, let's get there first, then we'll reevaluate based on the conditions at that time. It's conservative, yes, but also flexible.
Right.
And crucially, this prediction isn't just a one-way street. It has a built-in what if. It suggests if there's some kind of significant fundamental escalation, things going sideways globally or economically in the next few months, hopefully not me, if that happens, XRP could actually dip back down. It might retest and maybe fill an imbalance around the $2.50 to $2.50 mark.
And in the $2.40-50 zone, the analysis specifically calls it an excellent buying area, right? Expecting it to find strong support there, stabilize, and then resume the uptrend. It's like having a plan B baked in, which is frankly refreshing in crypto.
Exactly, a dose of realism.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What does all this mean for you, our listener, trying to get a clear picture of XRP's potential? We've seen this prediction relies heavily on that real breakout technically, but it's supported by a potentially huge fundamental catalyst, the SEC case possibly closing the anticipated XRP ETF. We've looked at the specific price targets, first stop potentially $4.50, then the main target for late 25, early 26, sitting conservatively between $4.50 and $5, and acknowledging, yes, it could go higher, maybe $7.50, but this analysis positions $5 as more of a medium-term peak for now.
And this really brings us back to those foundational assumptions. It raises a key question for you listening. We heard the specific conditions needed. Political stability, no U.S. recession, those interest rate cuts. That's what this whole analysis rests on. And we also heard about that potential excellent buying area, around $2.40 if things fundamentally worsen for a bit. So as you think about any long-term analysis, not just this one, perhaps the final thought is this. How might you, yourself, keep tabs on those core assumptions? What specific signs or indicators would you personally track to figure out if the fundamental ground beneath a prediction like this is holding firm, starting to shift, or maybe even cracking?